Welcome to You More. You may be on your path to having it all, the house, family, money, and travel, when suddenly something shatters your ideal world. It shifts your perspective. You realize, or maybe even decide, having it all isn't all that. It may leave you feeling unhappy, unsatisfied, or unfulfilled. You're left wanting something more. But you can't quite put it into words. Others, they just don't get it. They try to pacify you. I get it. I've stood in your shoes. Hello, I'm Gina, the spark behind Exquisitely Aligned. Your more starts now. Today we'll be discussing the number one reason why most women and men don't recognize their gifts and talents. And more importantly, how and why we need to change that. Think for a moment. How do you really see yourself? So many women are so focused on their weaknesses. That's all they see. And they don't see their strengths, their gifts, much less embrace them. This is important because how you see yourself is so much more important and more valuable than how you're seen by others. You can never be greater than how you choose to see yourself. Let me repeat that. It's so important. You can never be greater than how you choose to see yourself. So today I want to shine a light and bring awareness to your gifts and your talents. I want to let you in on the number one reason why most people aren't able to connect or recognize them, and invite you to see yourself in an even greater way each and every day. And let me share how to start that journey now. I have to be honest, I absolutely love having this time with you, and I look forward to it every week. But this topic in general, this topic of gifts, well, this one is so dear to my heart, so close to my heart, that I am doing cartwheels in my mind. Well, now that I think about it, my hip seems to be sturdy and strong. I may have to go in the yard and see if I'm still able to pull off a cartwheel. If I'm not here next episode, you'll know why. I love sharing this so much that it's typically where I begin with my one-on-one clients. It usually proves to be eye-opening on so many levels that it's a great way to start the journey with them. Usually, when I meet women and even some men, they tell me they are wondering what's next. They are ready for a change. They want something more. They crave something that will be even more fulfilling. As a matter of fact, I happened to have lunch with a dear friend yesterday, and that came right out of her mouth. Of course, I sat there smiling. It thrills me to know she started her search for her more. Most women, they wonder what their gifts are. I know because I was the same way once upon a time. We wonder what they are for different reasons. Let me share as many as I can with you right now. Some women and men, they get sucked into playing roles and following the rules that they are pulled so far away from their gifts and talents at a young age, they forget them. You've heard me say it before. We live in a world begging us to conform. We live in a world assigning and asking us or begging us to play roles. And we do live in a world that asks us to follow the rules. And many people get sucked right into that way of life. And in order to do that, they have to dismiss or abandon their gifts. It's true. That world of status quo doesn't want you to be talented or gifted. No, not at all. It wants to diminish your gifts and keep you fitting in or playing small, playing those roles. Okay, the next scenario. Some people, when they're young, are told their gifts are worthless. They won't bring in an income. Think of the child who loves acting, singing, music, the arts. Not many parents are telling their child, yes, go for it. Most of those parents, I've heard them say, oh, that's lovely, son, daughter, but you must get an education and take a job that you'll be able to live on. Think about the changes we've seen in the arts since the internet. When you are gifted in the arts, you can nowadays sell around the world from the comfort of your home while you're sleeping. Yes, while you're sleeping. I'll never forget the day my daughter told us she wanted to be a YouTuber. We were out to dinner. My husband nearly choked on his dinner. I knew my daughter has the personality to be a natural-born YouTuber. Besides the fact that she's fluent in 2 languages, Spanish and English, she loves art and does a beautiful job making art. And she has a passion for teaching everyone. I could see a million ways and reasons why she could do this. My husband, on the other hand, he was having a heart attack. Mind you, she was only 14 at the time. I imagine most 14-year-olds want to be YouTubers. Who knows where her life will take her, but I hope she uses her gifts. So we talked about 2 ways so far. We walk away from our gifts to fit in, first because we found comfort in conforming and then being told possibly they have no value. The next scenario, some people are told their gifts make others uncomfortable. They're asked to stop doing what comes so naturally, so effortlessly to them, what's part of their DNA. I remember reading somewhere that a mother brought her daughter to a psychologist. From inside the doctor's office, she pointed through the glass window to her daughter and said, "Doctor, help me. What's wrong with my daughter? She won't stop spinning." The doctor said, "She's a dancer. Sign her up for classes. Let her spin." And the little girl's name was Judy. Judy Garland. Okay, maybe you're too young to know her by name, but I'll tell you, she was Dorothy in the original Wizard of Oz, the one I grew up watching. Can you imagine? Thank goodness her mother brought her to the right psychologist to free Judy to be the entertainer she was called to be. I love that story because our daughter, Sonia, she loves to spin. She too is a dancer and entertainer. And I've learned to ask her to spin in another room instead of asking her to stop spinning completely. So we covered giving up our gifts to conform, being told they have no real value or worth, and to stop using our gifts because they make someone else uncomfortable. Next, I'm going to share what happened to me, and possibly the number 1 reason why most women and men don't recognize their gifts. Although with that being said, I'm thinking there is a tie between conforming and this one. I didn't think my gifts were gifts because they came so naturally to me, so effortlessly. I went through life thinking if I didn't have to work at it, it wasn't a gift. And certainly no one else had to work at it either. I simply went around believing that everyone found it easy to talk to what some people call strangers. Of course, I don't. I see them as new friends. That walking into a room filled with strangers was exciting, thrilling almost, make my heart beat faster. I figured everyone felt like me. Of course, I got older. I met my husband, who's the complete opposite. And I mean complete opposite of me. An introvert all the way. I realized very quickly, no, not everyone likes to walk into a room of so-called strangers. What a revelation indeed for me. As time went on, I started noticing that I did indeed have gifts. I then went on a long journey of self-discovery. It's similar, but much speedier, what I do with clients now, probably a decade speedier. It's the process I've discovered that I use now. And today I want to share this with you, at least a little bit, because it is that important. So there are different reasons why we might have walked away from our gifts, right? To fit in, to not call attention to ourselves, let someone else shine, because we were told and we were young enough to believe our gifts had no value, they wouldn't afford us a lifestyle that we were accustomed to, that our gifts made someone else uncomfortable, and we believed their comfort at the time was more important than our happiness. And like me, because they came so easily, so effortlessly, so naturally, I dismissed them and didn't see their value. Earlier, I said many women and men are so focused on their weaknesses that it's all they see, and they don't even see their strengths, their gifts and talents, much less embrace them. Can you see why and how that happens? It's only natural then for us to be so focused on our weaknesses. It's all part of the trap. And that's the trap surrounding gifts that I want to help you escape once and for all today. On a side note, just thinking about it, I find that so many women who have been through, let's say, hellish times, during that time, they discovered gifts that they didn't know they had. Here's why most people don't live the life they're meant to live. First, they haven't discovered their gifts. Even if they have discovered their gifts, they don't experiment or refine them. Instead, they make light of them and may even ignore them. Even when they have refined and mastered them, they hesitate to become playful. And even when they have refined them, they haven't truly appreciated them or allowed them to appreciate. These are unique gifts and talents that only you possess. You were divinely chosen to express them out into the world. We've been asked to dismiss our gifts for all the reasons we just talked about. So let's look at how this manifests later or appears later in life. Because the longer our gifts remain dormant and unused, the harder it is to find our purpose. Not finding our purpose leaves us feeling unhappy, unsatisfied, and unfulfilled, or without a purpose, kind of like dangling out there, not knowing what to do. Most women I've met, they're doers. They get shit done, and a lot of shit done. And when they don't feel as if they have a purpose, they may feel a bit unfocused, which leads to stress. And that's not a fun place to be. No, it's not a fun place to live. Life is too short to feel unfulfilled, unfocused, or stressed. Remember Nora and Rachel in earlier episodes? Nora playing nice, Rachel playing rebel. It's likely that someone like Nora will probably stay out of the spotlight, the limelight, in order to let maybe her husband, her kids, or all of them shine brighter. She may have entered a career that is less than to be home in time for those kids. And then Rachel. Someone like Rachel, she's more likely to have gone around bragging about her gifts. Neither way makes Rachel or Nora come alive. Neither way of acting like that allows the people around Rachel or Nora to come alive. Both cause doubt. We begin to doubt if we even have gifts or talents that are meaningful or valuable. Sometimes we doubt if our gifts could afford us the lifestyle we crave and desire. Well, I'm here to say yes. Yes, your gifts will most definitely afford you the lifestyle you crave and desire, but more importantly, deserve. In order to escape the mediocre life that conformity asks of us, we must stop dismissing and stop claiming our gifts. Instead, I want you to picture birthday presents on your birthday. Lots of them, actually an endless supply of them. These gifts are not just for you, they are for sharing. Sharing with nearly, notice I said nearly, everyone you come in contact with. Over the course of your lifetime, they're exquisite gifts. Others enjoy when you share them. They admire you when you use them. They come alive when they're in your presence. They are aware, in awe, when you're using them. These gifts have value. They appreciate. That's how I envision your gifts and your talents. Like a child with an endless supply of gifts, I'm asking you to become playful. This is where you'll feel the energy shift. Begin to share your gifts with others. And the best way I found to do this is to discover your gifts.